Hey guys, Egwin here. Welcome back to Scope of Life. I haven't done any longer updates and anything to continue our more detailed programs lately. So right now I'm gonna jump back into that and I'm gonna do the next step for the How to Walk Correctly series. Now, as I mentioned before, how to walk correctly is not something that you can nail exactly on point, because it largely depends on what your intent is, on which surface you're walking, whether you're wearing shoes or not, and so on. So basically, what I can give you, what I can teach you, are basic tools, are basic principles that combine together to a healthy body mechanics that can be applied to a number of different circumstances, to a number of different surfaces and situations that you might find yourself in. Now, as promised the last time in my last longer update, the first thing I'm going to talk about is this special aspect of how you can make a heel stroke actually healthy, and what's the difference between a healthy and an unhealthy heel stroke. To get started with that, I'm simply going to give you a small exercise that you can train. I show you, in general, I try to keep my videos a little shorter, but now I will go into greater detail, but let me just start with a small exercise that will teach you the basic tools necessary in order to then implement the knowledge that you gain from this exercise into your regular walking if you're a Heelstroke walker, which is quite likely nowadays. Okay, so basically, one basic principle: joints are there to be moved. We do not have joints for them to be stiff. Joints are there to be moved and to move us. And whenever we stabilize a joint to death, literally, it starts to die, it starts to degenerate, and more importantly, things like arthrosis and stuff like that begin to happen. So really pathological things start to happen whenever you stop using a joint in the way it was originally intended to be used. When we talk about this Heelstroke walking, there is a right and a wrong way to do it. The more difficult way for the body, that definitely brings in a lot of jolt when we hit the floor or the ground with our heel, is if there is no movement in the ankle, no or very limited movement in the ankle. I'm not going to go too much into detail about shoes and stuff like that, because they are a whole different story. Many shoes actually, they only exist because people do this type of walking, and many shoe types and many forms of the sole of many shoes, they actually promote your ankle being more stiff. So whenever you can, switch back to minimal shoes. Now let me get right into it. Very important, whenever your heel, say that's the heel of your foot that comes to the front, whenever your heel touches the ground, it's very important that there is movement in the ankle. Movement in the ankle means this, that the ball of the foot actually goes to the ground before my lower leg starts to move over the heel more. And this is the key element here. It's extremely important. I'm going to turn the camera down. You won't see my face. I'm still gonna talk though. Doesn't matter. What is important is that you see precisely what I'm doing with my legs, with my hips, and that's how you can learn this exercise the best, short of the possibility of working with you hands-on right now, which I would love, obviously, very much. Okay, just give me a second here. Alright, so now you can see my feet, you can see my legs, you can see my hips. what I mentioned before with this example of this being my heel, this being the front part of the foot, the heel has to touch the ground and the ball of the foot has to actually move down in the ankle. So whenever, say, my left leg comes to the front, my heel touches the ground, this is the suboptimal way. So hitting the ground with your heel and then instantly moving your weight into the foot without any actual movement in the ankle down here, that's a problem. So, show it like that again. Whenever that happens, the heel hits the ground and there is no movement whatsoever in the front part of the foot, that's a problem. What should happen is actually this. Heel hits the ground, the ball of the foot flaps to the ground, and then naturally my lower leg and my knee follow. I show that again. The heel hits the ground, the ball of the foot goes down, and then the rest of the leg follows. What happens by doing that is that because of this letting the ball of the foot drop action, you actually pull on the tibialis anterior muscle, which is the muscle that runs up right in front here on your lower leg. And whenever this muscle gets pulled, it also pulls. It either flexes my foot, or if the foot is fixed on the ground, it pulls the lower leg forward. And this pull of the lower leg forward is actually what opens the knee to the front. And by opening the knee to the front like so, you take away all the impulse, all the pressure that otherwise would travel instantly into the knee and up the hip. So that's how you reduce the impact. Now the exercise to train that. From this position, just a regular standing position. Let me just get my right trouser apart as well. So, from this position, place one foot to the front, place the heel on the ground, and literally just try to relax the ball of the foot. Make sure that this is possible. From here, release in the front part of your lower leg and let the ball of the foot drop to the ground. That's the important thing here. Let the ball of the foot drop to the ground. And remember, this is just a pre-exercise that then leads to your body knowing what it has to do in the actual walking process. Very important here, don't keep your rear leg completely stiff. Allow for the whole biomechanical chain between your rear foot all the way up to your hip, all the way down to your front foot. Allow movement in that chain. I show you the difference. I take the other leg now. Now if I stand on my left leg, right leg goes to the front, and I just simply try to, this is what should happen. See? I'm here, I let my right ball of the foot drop. You see, if I don't do anything in my left leg, I'm stiff in my left leg, and I let the ball of my right foot drop, then you see that the ball drops, and just a split second after, because of the biomechanical chain running up the front of your lower leg, your knee is pulled to the front. Now, if you can, that's not so easy for someone who's done it differently for many, many years, but if you can, and you can allow in your rear leg not to be stiff but rather to be mobile, then the whole process looks like that. Heel is on the ground, the ball of the foot drops, and not just is the knee opened to the front, but this actually also instantly creates a transversal movement for the rest of your body. So it's not just the leg that's being pulled to the front, it's actually your whole body that's being pulled to the front. So the weight shift happens because of that first. And then the second part is to push off of the rear leg if you want to go faster or something like that. But the first thing is that due to opening the path to the front, by letting the ball of the foot drop, the knee opens to the front, thus, because it's obviously attached to the hip, thus opening the hip to the front and pulling your whole weight towards the direction where you want to go. So the path is open, then you can push into it. Same goes for sprinting or whatever. Yeah? So that's the deal. Training for you, I show you once again, and then switch sides. Yeah? You can also do it as a progressive exercise, but the most important thing here is make sure to drop the ball of the foot, and for you to be able to check whether or not you're doing it right. As soon as you feel pressure in your heel before, if you feel the pressure in your heel increasing significantly before the ball of the foot touches the ground, then you're doing it wrong. Then it means that you're pushing from the rear foot into the front foot. And that's not what we want. We do not want to push from the rear foot into front. We want to let ourselves be pulled by the simple action of letting the ball of the foot drop, and by allowing this biomechanical pulling chain to actually affect the rest of our body. That's what we want. So I show you once again. From here, right foot is in front. I show you the wrong version. If you do this, now you feel a pressure increase in the right heel because you actually pushed from the rear to the front, but the front of the foot is still off the ground. That shouldn't happen. What should happen is heel on the ground, you feel how much pressure in the front heel is, you let the ball of the foot drop, and now you realize weight change happens. Same thing goes for the other foot. The right foot is back, the left foot is in the front. Turn it a bit like this. You have the heel on the ground, the ball of the foot drops, and you are being pulled forward instead of pushing forward before the ball of the foot is actually on the ground. So that's the thing. Do that a couple of times on either side, or do it progressively. So progressively would mean you stand with your left leg, you place the right heel, you let the ball of the right heel drop, allow for this weight shift, then you just simply shift the weight so much to the front that you can pick up the left foot. Place the left foot with the heel to the front. Heel is on the ground, first thing, ball of the foot drops, and the weight shift happens because of it. As I mentioned, the standard programming of most Western people is to push forward. That's what you have to overcome, because that's where the biomechanical problem of too much impulse in heel stroke originates from in most people. Alright, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box below. There is going to be a separate video where I actually have a slow motion shot of me walking, where you see how this actually applies into walking and where this movement in the ankle is actually permanently present. Have a wonderful time. See you around. Make sure to like, share and subscribe if you liked it. There is a lot on my channel that might interest you, and actually there is a lot interesting new things coming to you. So see you around soon and stay tuned. Bye.